Okay, as you know, most of the videos I've been doing basically involve around our government. This one's slightly different. This is to do with basically the way a company behaves and the company that you deal with behaves. Normal routine, if you've got somewhere like whether it's a storage unit or it's somewhere that's been looking after stuff for you, or even something that you've arranged to basically, you've got two orders and you're picking one up and then somebody's supposed to go pick the other one up. The normal routine is if nobody turns up to pick it up or there's no sign of anything, and you say to them, well, if nobody shows up in a day or so to pick it up, please ring me and let me know. Usually the company will ring you and let you know, and then you can go pick it up yourself or arrange for somebody else to get it. Why I'm saying about this is because 2 years ago, I had a national storage unit with National Mini Storage. And when we left to move to Tokoroa with all the stuff, the last load that went out of the unit was me and Tony. My station wagon and trailer were completely full. Tony's car was completely full, and Tony can vouch for this if she decides to look at any of this. And the set of drawers that was supposed to have gone with the movers, they had broken them. So because they're solid wood, I rang a friend of mine. And I says to my friend, can you come pick these up? Because you can either burn them or you can just stick new nogs in them and you've got a new set of drawers. She's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll come get them. And I says, okay, you've got to pick them up in the next couple of days, so otherwise they'll bitch about it. And she's like, yeah, no, sweet. So we took them down to their big bin. We told the guy at the gate, which is the one who lives on the property basically, that my friend was going to come and pick these up. And if she didn't come back in a couple of days, give us a bell because you've got my cell phone, you've got my email, let me know. Well, I took off, and it's now 2 years later. Actually, it's more than 2 years later. And I'd heard nothing from my friend. In fact, I've heard nothing from my friend in over 2 years. And I hadn't heard nothing from the National Storage people. So I went to go see if I could rent a new unit so I can move the stuff that I've got left that I'm selling up to Auckland and put it into a new storage unit. And since I've rented with them before and they have all my details, I gave them a bell. First phone conversation with Josh, the manager for the East Tamaki one, says to me, well, since you're coming back, we can do you a deal for the cost of the unit, make it even cheaper. And I'm like, oh, good. And then he rang me back again to tell me, yep, they've got a larger size one for a cheap price because the one I wanted was full, so they're going to move me up to a large one anyway. And I said, well, that's not a worry, I'll take the large one at that price anyway. Get halfway there, get a phone call back from him telling me that, according to their system, I'm actually now blacklisted. And I'm like, well, what for? Because as far as I know, I'm paid up, everything was clean, everything was kept clean. And he turns around and says, he can't tell me, it's coded on their system. I said, well, your system should be able to explain why I've been blacklisted and I can't rent from you. And he goes, I don't have to explain nothing. We don't have to explain anything to you. That's our company policy. We don't explain nothing. We just blacklist you. And I'm like, well, that's not right. And got into an argument with him because, again, it's against the law to write things up against people that are illegal when it's not true. So I ended up chasing up his head office and leaving a message for them on Saturday. Got a phone call back yesterday telling me that they'll ring me back, which is their boss, Paul. And he was going to talk to the guy in charge and talk to the others. And I'm like, okay. And then he rang me about 10 minutes ago. And the conversation is, according to him, I left stuff in and around my units, which is bullshit, because as everybody knows, I've got the stalkers, so I make sure that nobody knows what's in my units. So there's no way I'd leave anything outside of any of my units when I've moved up or changed over or anything else with any of my units. And the only time anything is left at the bottom of it is only because we've been moving it backwards and forwards and then it gets cleaned up later. So the unit was clean. Tony's a witness to that as well. And I said the only thing you could probably bitch about was the fact that that set of drawers that I took down by their big bin, that it was left that the person was supposed to come and pick up. And I said, well, I heard nothing from nobody, so I assumed it had been picked up. And I said I'd asked the guy to let me know that if she didn't show up in a couple of days, to give me a ring or a bell, let me know. I heard nothing from their people either. According to their big boss, we don't have to tell you nothing. We don't have to respond to you. We don't have to do anything. So therefore, their attitude and their behaviour is, if you arrange for a courier company to come and pick something up from the place, and the courier company don't come pick it up, they won't tell you that it hasn't come picked up. They won't tell you nothing. And in fact, they'll probably turn around and blacklist you because you left stuff behind. If you had a courier, not just a courier company, but like something like a container company coming to pick stuff up, and the stuff that you've left behind for them to pick up, same routine, because that's their attitude and that's their behaviour. Now, Normally I won't bitch about certain things unless there's a good reason for it. The good reason is because people need to know that national ministers do this to people. They don't tell you that they've blacklisted you. They don't inform you of anything, even when you ask them nicely, especially when it comes to getting something picked up or dropped off. So I wouldn't go back there if I were anybody else besides myself, because they're not a safe company to rent from. They're not a safe company to store with. And if they're going to do this sort of behaviour to people, the company doesn't need to thrive and spread out like a fucking mushroom and spreading its spores everywhere so that it can con people and then basically tell lies about them so that in years to come, when somebody comes back to have a look at something or find out about it and they had no idea what was going on, they're suddenly blacklisted, and then they've spread this little list out across the country, which is what they can do without even telling you, and make it so that you cannot use any of their system in any way, manner or form, which it doesn't matter, it's just the one place, in, say for instance East Amaki or Otara or in Henderson or anywhere else, but it covers the entire country. And it's getting to the stage where, from what the guy was telling me when I got into the argument with him, they have no intentions of ever informing any of their customers, both current and or former, that they do this to you. So I don't think they should have customers. I don't think they should be trusted with your stuff. So that's why I'm doing this.